Hello, and welcome to Historical Humans Reads, where we take primary sources and bring them to your screen. I'm Colum Coleman, and today we are reading from Paul Revere's Ride, a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, published in the January 1861 edition of The Atlantic Monthly. Paul Revere's Ride was written not only to commemorate the deeds of Paul Revere during the early days of the Revolutionary War, but also with the hope of encouraging patriotic action in a nation on the brink of civil war. In so doing, Longfellow forged the legend of Paul Revere and branded the deeds of the man on the American consciousness some 95 years after the fateful ride. Today we'll be reading the first half of Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. With that, let's begin. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in 75. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, "If the British march, by land or sea, from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as signal light. One, if by land, and two, if by sea, and I on opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm." Then he said good night, and with muffled oar silently rowed to Charleston shore, just as the moon rose o'er the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset British man-o'-war, a phantom ship, with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till in silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers, marching down to their boats on shore. Then he climbed the tower of the old North Church, by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade, by the trembling ladder steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper, "All is well." A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour, and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse side, now he gazed at the landscape fallen near, then impetuous stamped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer, and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes, till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. This has been an excerpt from Paul Revere's Ride on Historical Humans Reads. If you enjoyed this video and would like to hear more excerpts from original texts, please subscribe to be notified of the next. If there is a work you would like to hear, be sure to like the video and leave a comment listing it below. Thank you for listening.